Hey there, fellow wanderers. Tonight, we're not just telling a story, we're crossing time. Step quietly, because the year is forgotten. And the world, oh, it's muddy, cold, and unforgiving. The scent of wet hay mixes with sweat and smoke. You hear a baby crying in the distance, a monk chanting, and somewhere, someone coughing like death itself is just around the corner. This isn't fantasy, this is history, and trust me, it's no fairy tale. So before we dive deeper, I ask only this. If this kind of raw, unvarnished truth speaks to you, click like, hit subscribe, and leave a trace of yourself in the comments. Tell me your city, your time, your state of mind. Now, dim the lights. Let the hum of your fan blend with the wind of centuries past. Let's begin. And remember, in medieval times, even survival was a luxury. Right away, you're confronted with the bustling life of a medieval town. From sunrise to sunset, every moment demands your hard labour, especially if you're part of the peasantry, which, let's face it, most people were. Long gone are the modern conveniences you're accustomed to. Here, you depend on your hands, your strength, and possibly a second or third wind to get through your day. Agriculture dominates every aspect of existence, demanding your attention from dawn as you trudge into the fields, often before you've fully shaken off the remnants of sleep. The medieval world revolves around manual labour. Machines, as you know them, are centuries away. Days blur into one another, basted with sweat and soil, where simply tending to your crops could mean the difference between survival and starvation in the colder months. Historians still argue whether medieval agronomy techniques were rudimentary or resourceful, as families relied on wisdom passed down through generations, often involving curious practices such as moon planting. A visit to the village marketplace reminds you of scarcity. Bartering here isn't just a quaint nod to the past, it's life's essence. Oddly, even though resources are meagre, there's a vibrancy to the marketplace you might find intriguingly lively. Merchants peddle an assortment of goods. You've got your turnips stacked alongside barrels of salted fish, possibly past their prime, and the cacophony of sellers haggling is music to the ears, albeit not the relaxing type. But be wary, for here the Black Plague lurks, a spectre that does more than occasionally haunt this bustling hub. Stay too long, and you're likely to become another anecdote of mortality. Still intrigued? Beyond the marketplace, communities are close-knit, though perhaps not by choice. Living quarters are cramped, privacy a luxury you're unlikely to afford, and every whisper of drama spreads faster than those morning market rumours. Speaking of community, remember to thank the travelling minstrel for their ballad, a brief respite from an otherwise labour-focused existence. Despite the stone-hard reality, there's an undeniable sense of camaraderie among your fellow villagers. It's a quirky sight, peasants revelling in their shared adversity, dancing barefoot around the community bonfire after a hard day's work. And if you think your modern dance moves will save the day, a few might consider you a strange jester, while others simply laugh, appreciating your rare attempt to join in their customary jig. Even if this existence feels overwhelmingly mundane by our standards, the medieval era had layers of complexity through its very simplicity. In a world ruled by nature's cycles, surviving one day to reach the next is an achievement within itself. Brace yourself, because tomorrow's challenges are lurking just over the horizon, guaranteed to test your stamina and resolve like never before. So tonight, as you cozy into your modern comforts, remember this snippet of time when life operated at a pace dictated more by the rising sun than any ticking clock. The contrasts might just lull you deeper into relaxation, with a slight smile of gratitude knowing that your biggest concern is whether you remembered to charge your phone. Sweet dreams. It may be the only real escape from the medieval world waiting when you close your eyes. As the morning light filters through the small, uneven window of your medieval dwelling, a reminder flickers that rest was merely the precursor to another demanding day. Time to rise. Despite being thoroughly fatigued from yesterday's endeavours, there's a whole new set of challenges awaiting you. The medieval clock never halts and neither can you. Before anything, your day begins with the painstaking task of kindling the fire. A necessity given that central heating won't be invented for, several hundred more years. You tiptoe about in hopes of not disturbing the rest of the household, though chances are they're already stirring. Grabbing whatever scraps of wood you can muster, The rhythmic chore aids in numbing your thoughts as you ready for the labour ahead. Enter the world of mealtime. Belly rumbling for sustenance, you remember that breakfast isn't the lavish affair of today. Indeed, medieval food options have the potential to bewilder your modern palate. The main staple? Bread, coarse, thick, and more filling than flavourful. Butter is a luxury, and if you're hoping for orange juice, well, historically that would be quite the miracle indeed. You'll make do with ale, because the water is suspect at best. And it's best to start your day with something safe to drink, even if it is mildly intoxicating. The food itself isn't all bad, but the preparation leaves much to be desired. It's fascinating to think that medieval folks considered fresh vegetables far less desirable than the salted and spiced assortment. Perhaps the desire was to disguise freshness with potent herbs that masked the flavours of what were occasional dietary misadventures, an idea that intrigues food historians today. They argue about whether these cooking methods were born from culinary creativity or sheer necessity. You'll find evidence of both as you chow down, despite the unease towards sometimes indistinguishable pottage. Your cutleries of wooden spoons and practical knives may seem rustic, adding an earthy quality to your mealtime routine, unlike today's shiny utensils. The actual processes of keeping food supply sustainable compel you toward leaving nothing to waste, a practice that, if more folks embraced now, might lead to less environmental impact. It's quirky to imagine any remnants becoming next-in-line leftovers or cleverly incorporated into the next meal, an idea we'd probably appreciate from a sustainability standpoint. Once done, the day unfolds in a string of humdrum agrarian duties. Should you be spared from the arduous and repetitive chores of ploughing fields or tending to cattle, there's always something demanding and likely back-breaking on the horizon. From repairing tools to gathering firewood or maintaining hygiene, yes, bear in mind hygiene was decidedly medieval, lacking the comforting presence of antibacterial soaps, your hands will rarely find rest. Nor will your shoulders, predictably bearing the yoke of another laborious day. Amidst these challenges, there are fleeting moments of reprieve. You find solace within those convenient suspensions of the day. The gathering for meals, where everyone is keen to update each other on life's current turn or exchange wit and wisdom. Those moments offer temporary reprieve, a communal reset akin to modern lunch breaks full of chatter. Nature itself affords some comfort, though it's as relentless as any task, never still, never predictable, yet constantly enchanting. Perhaps amidst the day's labours, you'll find a moment to admire the flight of a wartime swallow or an unexpectedly colourful patch of wildflowers. Their resilient and enduring beauty reminds you that there's more to this life than toil and wares. Evening draws near. Once more your day is drawing to an end. Marked by the long stretch of shadows cast by the setting sun, there's but a last handful of tasks to complete before the reprieve. Cleaning, preparing for tomorrow, tidying the modest homestead. With darkness afoot, your bed beckons like a caveman's retreat. It lacks the familiarity of your mattress, yet you drift quickly into slumber, satisfied to have endured. And as you sink into the linen replimitude of handmade sheets and straw-stuffed pillows, you comfortingly realize your modern world is certainly simpler, a world where tomorrow's technology and innovation glide in your grasp, if only within your dreams. As whispers of dawn creep over the horizon, another medieval day awaits. But before plunging into the toil that dictates your existence, there's an ever-present engagement with food and hygiene that warrants your immediate attention. Brace yourself, for the time to explore these curious medieval customs is nigh, where peculiar diets and perplexing cleanliness routines were the norm. Welcome to the breakfast table, medieval style. Here, simplicity reigns supreme, where your meal mirrors yesterday's thick bread and, if you're fortunate, a slice or two of cheese. Let's not forget that trusty ale. Breakfast is hardly the spectacle it is today, and serves as little more than a mechanical act of sustenance. Oh, and bacon. Everyone loves bacon. But keep in mind that pigs are a valuable asset, and revelry in this delight is more ceremonial than regular. Think of it as your medieval cheat day. Now, when it comes to midday meals and dinners, there's often a stew simmering, a comfortable medley of whatever ingredients you could salvage. Attendance at mealtimes becomes a curious social occasion, where gathered folk share tales and more, secretly air their grievances in hushed tones. It's a world fueled by soups and stews, the warm broth offering a semblance of relief against harsh routines. The most renowned medieval feast, though rare and reserved mostly for the affluent, is a pageant of epic proportions, featuring roast meats, exotic spices, and ceremonial toasts, the kind of celebration the average person might only hear about in tales. Historians remain split on the demands of medieval diets, were they monotonous or practical. Each answer unveils its own intrigue, from the digestive trials of overly preserved foods to the sharper distinctions in social class it presented. Imagining modern delicacies like chocolate or modern-day pizza making an appearance feels an absurd impossibility, reminiscent of the fantastical stories told by merchants of distant lands. But enough about meals. Let's shift to the enigmatic realm of hygiene. To many, the phrase medieval hygiene conjures visions of dubious practices, an impression not unearned. The average person bathed infrequently, mostly as dictated by seasonal opportunity, necessity, or societal pressure. Summer offered the ephemeral luxury of a creek bath, trickling a semblance of cleanliness over your worn body. Soap, when available, lacked today's aromatic appeal, crafted from animal fat and ashes. It's a cleansing routine more likely to strip away layers of delicacy than deposit the soothing freshness we enjoy now. Bathhouses, where available, became a community essence. Yet beware, the water of shared use isn't pristine. And yes, if you pondered how these fantastic places distanced themselves from scandal, you'd not be mistaken. Many bathhouses walked a blurred line between hygiene and entertainment, often whispered in church sermons of excess. Your medieval morning isn't complete until you handle those teeth, right? Well, prepare yourselves. The closest semblance to dental care involves rubbing your teeth with cloth or the occasional sage leaf. There are no fluoride-induced smiles here, merely attempts to disguise the inevitable. Looking after your appearance means managing the dishevelled demeanour of a medieval lifestyle. The omnipresence of unsanitary conditions around you, the plague-laden rats darting through pathways, wastes scattered in alleys, paints a vivid picture. Yet somehow, amidst nature's chaotic order, your spirit prevails, maintaining fragile balance enough to seize and grasp the day. Returning indoors, where the dimly lit fire might cast a hopeful shadow on your home, there's a sense of achievement in simply standing clean in this grimy world. Traditions wove them into the essence of daily life, tying together meticulous care for what little you possessed. Unsurprisingly, these routines double as ingenious methods of survival, guiding you through impending challenges, one victorious act of self-care at a time. Closing the medieval day evokes nostalgia for your modern conveniences. As the fire dims and the moon shines over your humble abode, ponder how a world driven by such peculiar customs won your steadfast determination to overcome. Reflect upon how far we've ventured, and feel gratitude for the evolution of habits paired with modern comforts you now find soothing. As you emerge under the shimmering dawn of another medieval day, be prepared to wade through the murkier waters of the era's justice system. This isn't your run-of-the-mill courtroom drama, with gavels and oak-panelled decor. We're diving straight into a world where justice is swift, harsh, and often subject to the whims of those in power. Beware, for here, accusations ride on whispers and rumours as much as on tangible evidence. It's a social landscape where culprits might be determined by any misstep, perceived slight, or unfortunate alignment with ill-regard members of the community. To your surprise, justice, or what passes for it, often wears the guise of spectacle. Imagine the bustling town square, an amphitheatre of sorts, with eager crowds gathered to witness proceedings that promise both justice and entertainment. Common thieves might meet their fate with swift punishment. Stocks, pillories, whippings. A public call to mock the guilty. You'll find crimes displayed like performances, where punishment serves to dissuade, reminding everyone present of the line continuously looming underfoot. Should your curiosity engage opinions on vandalism, boy, are you in for a medieval shock. Breaking a neighbour's barrel could easily result in branding or disfigured ears, a steely deterrent meant to mark one a trespasser of societal law. For those serious infractions, that is, accusations of witchcraft, heresy, or betrayal among the medieval trials defy rational expectations. Justice here mixes elements of divine intervention and human fallibility, with trials by ordeal, whether it be fire, water, or combat, posing ominous tests of perceived innocence. Historians still argue whether these trials were reflective of the society's religious dominance or desperation for any semblance of control. As you imagine yourself trussed up under such expectations, take bittersweet solace in the potential for a duel by sword. At least then you'd have a fighting chance, both figuratively and literally, more so than the dramatic option of plucking a heated iron from burning embers. Yet quirkiness bubbles up amidst justice's gloomy facade, through systems of compensation like Wergild, where, instead of incarceration or gruesome penalties, offenders pay fines to victims or their kin. It's a bricolage of social norms meeting retribution economics, and although we're stepping back in time, one cannot help but smile at the ludicrous comparisons to polite traffic infractions and community service hours today. The church inevitably crosses your path within this realm, medieval justice, remains unavoidably entwined with religious authority. Ecclesiastical courts challenge offences labelled as spiritual crimes, attended with reverential fear. Here, you'd be held accountable for things you might consider personal, but that would disturb the religious status quo. Gossiping about the priest? An incidentally scandalous event. Skipping village mass? Troublingly impious. Yet within these courts exist a modicum of leniency, if favourable judgment from divine intervention is presumed, or you can secure a hefty favour from influential clergy. But the era's underlying question, justice itself, promises scholarly debate over its enforcement and motivations. Some argue it served as a manipulation tactic, while others point toward the survival of societal structures trying to harness harmony from chaos. Either way, the sense of law flows as a constant, challenging tide. So, dear traveller, as you face these unfathomable challenges of the medieval order, contemplating trial by cold water, soaking your wits, or public scrutiny revealing too much, prompt yourself to think how far we've wandered from this vision of chaos cloaked in righteousness. Stark realities now burst clearer in mind, and with them a newfound appreciation for the liberties we've acquired, forged from centuries of transformation. May this reflection gentle your spirit with the realization that life's complex labyrinth has never forsaken fairness. It simply wore a different skin. A fresh morning haze heralds the start of another day, when medical practices are rooted as much in superstition as in science. In a medieval world, health and medicine pair themselves as finicky best friends ready to navigate an entourage of afflictions. Brace yourself. Today's exploration of this peculiar medical realm will leave you both bemused and thankful. As you saunter through the village, the telltale sign of bone rattling marks the approach of a medieval physician, a figure as mysterious as the maladies they aim to cure. Clad in robes and often with an air of self-importance, these practitioners wield tools ranging from the utterly bizarre to the frighteningly invasive. You'd better hope not to catch their gaze. Standing still in the face of medieval diagnosis might not be where you want to end up. Let's take a moment to address the infamous practice perhaps most synonymous with medieval medicine: bloodletting. The act might elicit a wince as you imagine the mere sight of sharp instruments, but this was believed to balance one's humours. Medieval society, guided largely by the humorism theory, tied health intricately to 4 bodily fluids: blood, phlegm, black bile, and yellow bile, and thus in efforts sought to drain what ailed you. Historians debate the true effectiveness of this, and argue whether the logic behind its perennial use was tradition trumping observed outcomes, yet somehow it persisted majestically through time. If you find yourself under the weather with a common cold, or worse, say, plague symptoms, you may wish for the bite of garlic or clove pastes, strange potions concocted with root extracts, perhaps ingested more like a ritual than reparation. Herbal remedies were popular, mingled with incantations and folklore, as the apothecary's cabinet emanated a wealth of intoxicating aromas. To your relief, recent study affirms that some did house antiviral properties, leaving a small smile as you ponder the ancestors' accidental ingenuity. Medieval surgery, however, thrusts you into a world where endurance and resolve rule. Much reimagination is required here, for no soothing anesthetics await you, only a swig of spirits and a hand to squeeze. Surgeons, whose skill is quixotically as variable as their tools, approach healing much like carpenters, some would jest, owing to nearly indistinguishable woodworking namesakes of knife, saw, and chisel. Those bold enough to undergo operations like trepanning, a procedure drilling into the skull to let out ailment spirits, did so at a high cost, often surviving against remarkable odds and cementing legendary status among their fellow villagers. Dental care finds little, emphasizing raw mechanical strength over finesse and comfort. Toothaches welcome extraction with little fanfare. If the tooth relieved, you might consider yourself lucky compared to potential skull fractures some thatch-teethed fellows endure. Amidst this kaleidoscope of medieval medicine, you glimpse a flicker of divergence only onto the exceptional Antonine monks fostering hospices, sanctuaries of healing wisdom evolved beyond contemporary treatment. Their approach, nurturing physical, psychological and spiritual well-being, offers a fleeting reprieve, akin to trial-efficient PR campaigns for the power of humanity, engaged through healing hands and self-discovery. In your imagination, visualize noble attempts to unravel natural mysteries, crafted painstakingly as illuminations meant to guide equally unilluminated successors. These efforts, although slow in fruition, finally endured. Not instantly, in scientific centuries post, but through resilience and share. Between herbs and heated declarations, surprisingly, you remember that medieval medicine's distinguishing mark lies within both our past escapades and modern parallels. Innovations faded primarily out of roots are forged under guise seeking solutions. With this, conceptualize the sparing medical bits, evolving into future lore, without obligation, to serendipitously fortuitous savants who once graced thine lands. As you rest tonight, in this realization doze peacefully. You're shielded from blades of old physicists, whose traditions now stand historically worn, yet definitive in legacy, entangling present strands. May this newfound appreciation blanket your senses like a comforting balm, sending you deep into serene repose. The morning mist clings to the ground as you set foot into another chapter of medieval existence, one deeply rooted in the social fabric that defines who you are and where you belong. Hold on to your curiosity as we delve into the intricate dance of the medieval social hierarchy, where your place is preordained, and movement between classes is about as rare as a heralded comet blazing across the firmament. In these times, you find yourself woven into a structure akin to a formidable pyramid, its peak shimmering in regal splendor while the foundational blocks, the peasantry, bear its weight. At the pinnacle resides the nobility, those adorned with titles and holdings, embodiments of power and privilege. You might glance wistfully at the manors and castles they claim as home, nestled amidst their abundant lands, a life none within the lower echelons dare to dream. Just below royalty, you find the night-sworn creatures of honor, enveloped in gleaming armor, whose lives command an intrigue of chivalric romance. However, hold back your fantastical conception. The reality is often fraught with grueling training, political maneuvering, and perhaps more metal polishing than noble quests. Their oath binds them to loyalty, fealty to the lords and ladies whose commands echo as law across the lands. Beneath knights reside the vassals and merchants, the latter conjuring timeless fascination through the alchemy of commerce. Your mind may wander to suspect dealings and bargaining at guild-run markets, where transactions range from fragrant spices to the mundane flax. Merchants tread carefully along a tightrope of economic prowess, hoping to rise and tackle societal barriers. For the rest, consisting largely of peasants, your days are entwined with fields and livestock, a life where allegiance to the land and its tillage dictates the rhythm. Though seldom barred subjects, these humble toilers propel the economy's heartbeat, with ties chafing closely to their lords who oversee every inch and tithe. It's a station engraved with resilience, grounded by centuries of ancestry, both homage and burden. While some historians argue whether these rigid divisions meant inevitable stagnation or provided stability against chaotic upheaval, there remains no doubt medieval life presents little room for social mobility. The occasional surge into prosperity or fall from grace mingles tantalizing cocktails of myth and legend. For the average person, however, the odds remain vastly indifferent. Religious nuance entwines your life further, marrying identity with divine ordination. The clergy inflame social shift, their influence grazing beyond the spiritual into the temporal, attending to souls with whispered prayers and stretching offerings beyond the pew. You'll notice monasteries operating like mini fiefdoms, managing land while dispensing theological wisdom. If you're pondering the life irresistible of a monk or nun, prepare instead for a regimented existence of devotion, a path less smooth than chalice-gilded fantasies suggest. That said, within these cloisters, notions of education flicker most brightly. You might find yourself basking under the gentle, studious tutelage of rare scholarship, today's seemingly starfaring concept afforded by parchment and ink. Though others toil, Monastic halls echo ethereal musings, cherishing educational opportunity in its most visceral form. In the evening, as you recline under a broad tapestry of stars mapped by medieval eyes, consider the web of reciprocal obligations stitched between every person in this great social endeavour. What they have gifted and received from one another, imaginary hierarchies notwithstanding. This interwoven complexity serves as much a cradle for memorable exploits as a shackle binding inheritance, spinning and fueling the stories of once upon a time. Time's segue, transforming the scars of this hierarchical tableau into our modern-day reflections. As you rest, whisper gratitude, further reshaped in intergenerational conduct. Outliving human hardships as we gently tread past and settle comfortably into the present, where thanks to centuries of social evolution, you can spin your own narrative within the grand tapestry of time. As the medieval sun casts its first golden hues upon the landscape, we find ourselves drawn to the grand spectacle of living within the castle's stone embrace. Castle life sparkles with an allure uniquely its own, even if behind the battlements lie tales far removed from fanciful legends. Step cautiously beyond the ironclad gatehouse, where dreams of velvet drapery and grand feasts wash gently against the at times cold truth of fortress life. Picture yourself wandering through cavernous halls that echo with every step. While castles serve as strongholds of luxury and power, practicalities often skew perception. Wealth and status draw the heavy shadows of responsibility, where administering lands is only the beginning, a careful orchestration akin to directing a small kingdom. Let's explore the day-to-day. As a member of the Lord's household, perhaps the scion of nobility or a favoured retainer, your domain includes overseeing the myriad of activities commanding this abode. There's a constant flow of servants, bustling with precision to ensure the Lord's affairs mosey smoothly, as they should. Scullery maids labour in dim kitchens with huge hearths as they draft culinary affairs from vast stores for the evening's banquet. A culinary symphony known to delight both palate and prestige. Amidst the tinkle of laughter, dining becomes a theatrical showcase. The high table basks in formal setting, where platters of fish and fowl substitute yesteryear's oat gruel. Privileged guests partake in intricacies, where subtleties of spice and glaze intertwine, a breathtaking parade to heighten the senses, yet conceal underlying strains. Where reputation is openly managed by quantities served and seat placements determined. Still, imagine with amusement the etiquette dances practiced to avoid medieval traps and traps. Some humorously involving elbows, forks, and strategically angled loaf bread, but life within these fortress walls isn't entirely lavish. The stone edifice that affords you protection from hostile forces presents its own adversities. Winter drafts slither through the stony corridors, extinguishing warmth like a cold embrace. Heating requires vigilance and labour, as servant hands tend to crackling braziers that bear little in the way of comfort. Notably, personal privacy is akin to legend. Small living quarters host family members and close associates alike, while larger halls bound meetings of diplomacy and tactical consideration. Historians still argue whether this lack of solitude encouraged camaraderie bonds or fueled intrigue, as secrets occasionally dance amidst tapestries and hidden passages whisper silent echoes. Peek beyond these walls, where garrisoned soldiers stand vigilant on lofty parapets. They infuse normalcy with disciplined fortitude amidst an ever-watchful atmosphere, poised to repel threats and poised further to embody honour. Legends of secret negotiations echo within these towers. Networks of power play intricate games across shaded battlefield map tables, replete with strategic instruments and etched alliance records. As Lord or Lady, your presence suggests depth in hearing adversarial courtly missives, plans coiling around smoky chamber lamps laced with tense anticipation. As the moon takes its reign, your castle's crumbling edges turn soft under its silver glow. The flickering torch procession, with accompanying sentinels, escorts stragglers along walls grown familiar. Now, your day dwindles against shadows, witnessed only by the stubbornly poised tower casemates. Meditating upon this medieval world of stone and glory, as you recline back to repose within modern comfort, let your imagination wander further. Those echoes of ambition and protection bred timeless tales. This nest for nobility beguiles dreams, just enough to lull your senses into sleep's gentle clutch. perhaps beneath the faint tremor of history whispering farewell. Remember always, the tales told amid these ancient walls linger not only in heritage, echoes, but they sculpt the form of an ever-aging world, from what stood and still stands upon their enduring foundations. As dawn touches your medieval world with its first whispers of light, you brace yourself for the tales of warfare, a domain of gritty reality and heroic legends melded into one. In this section, war is more than just clashing armies. It's a way of life, a theatre where destiny is forged and sometimes obscured in the haze of battle. Imagine yourself wrapped in chainmail, a heavy responsibility draped across your shoulders. You stand amidst a sea of steel, as an army gathers, a living tapestry of men and arms, each soul carrying the weight of duty. The clink of armour and clatter of swords reverberate through the air, setting the stage for what lies ahead. Medieval warfare is an art form requiring meticulous choreography, from the knight's feudal vows, binding allegiances, to the immense preparation that precedes any campaign. In the field, your success or failure often hinges on robust tactics and the resolve of both leaders and soldiers behind the front line. Chainmail might protect you, but it also constrains as you wield a sword in the hot clamour of combat, where even the air pulses with relentless vigour. Lest we forget, war entreats engineers and artisans to ply their crafts amid chaos. Here enter the siege engines, trebuchets and mangonels, inspiring awe as they hurl devastation upon castle walls, a breathtaking act of physics and brute force. While historians still argue whether these leviathans marked ingenuity or sheer intimidation effects, they remain iconic symbols of siege mentality. Treasures are only loot and lands for the victor, but fame, infamy for some, rests as the prize beyond measure. Consider also the archers, their bows taut with the promise of swift death from the shadows. Longbows of English fame cast volleys in parabolas across no man's land. However, proficiency with these bows demands strength and skill, honed through lifelong practice, qualities respected as much as feared. Enter the battlefield, where the melee unfolds with a clangor and clamour under open heavens. Formations hold fast, and each clash arcs towards chaos. Lines upturn as swords sing, shields buckle and banners sway in the wind-pledged violence. Battlefield chaos devours the mind as each decision becomes one of survival, a fading corridor between life and glory. These tumultuous acts are as often defined by brutal hand-to-hand combat or heroic duels, where anything that might offer salvation is seized upon. War is a visceral pact binding you to instant life-or-death stakes. The heraldic colours you proudly bear become rallying optics both on and off the field. Identity deeply carried into memories etched by victory and defeat. Meanwhile, behind the scenes of battles like these, there's much to consider. The logistics of sustaining armies, the weeks of grueling marches, and the fragile networks of diplomacy unfolding in royal chambers away from the fray. Negotiations hover like shadows over the decisive edge of combat, and a single letter can prove unexpectedly potent in altering the swelling tides of fortune. Embody the soldier's perspective, envisioning life post-war, a return to the tapestry of peacetime draped precariously over conflict's residue. Soldiers find neither glory nor reprieve, merely afterthoughts of harrowing sacrifice-driven tales carried home. War and Soldier's Odyssey sour reflections, rekindled within your historical imagination. As you glide into dreams moulded by battles fought on distant fields, appreciate the layers of sacrifice that brought subsequent peace, representing humanity's unyielding paradox between conflict's furies and aspirations for tranquil realms. Relax into gratitude. The knights of today arise beyond bordered lands, forging peace without trepidation, embodied by those chained to medieval time. Let sleep guide your spirit, until nostalgia lulls memories into brighteners, bearing witness to the enduring impact of every historical moment lived and conquered. The morning sun spills softly over the medieval town, illuminating a day where religion fills every crevice of life. Prepare to delve into a world shaped as much by faith as it is by the daily bread. Here, beliefs are the stitching that holds the very fabric of society together, guiding every decision, much like the sunrise itself. Step around corners of bustling streets and enter the one building that dwarfs all others, the local church or cathedral, with its towering spires reaching towards the heavens. It's no mere structure. It's a symbol of divine authority, a bastion of faith casting shadows long across cobblestones. Within its walls, sacred relics rest amid a mosaic of light filtering through stained glass, depicting stories of saints and martyrs to inspire and, at times, to humble all who come to worship. Your day often begins and ends with the call to prayer, the church bell pealing out reminders of devotion. The rhythm of life pulses through each service, the chants and hymns providing comfort and familiarness amid uncertainty. Though the church is a guiding hand, it also wields the power of judgment, and being embroiled in spiritual matters is not uncommon. Confessions and penance underscore the tether between faith and redemption, a poignant reminder of one's striving towards salvation. Where there's faith, there often is power, and the church holds an undeniable sway over the people. Bishops and abbots dispense wisdom alongside edicts, their influence sometimes stretching beyond ecclesiastical boundaries. Historians still debate whether church control equaled tyranny or benevolence, its role shaping everything from taxation to enforcement of moral codes. Education resides largely with the clergy, monasteries becoming the de facto centres of learning. Wax-stamped scrolls and illuminated manuscripts arise from scriptoriums, copied by the diligent hands of monkish scribes. It's within these cloisters that whispers of Aristotle and Plato echo, tinged with theological contemplation, weaving themselves into the medieval mind. For the average medieval person, pilgrimages emerge as journeys of spiritual significance, odysseys undertaken in search of divine grace. Whether this wanderer seeks miracles at holy shrines or the eyesight-expanding vistas of Rome or Santiago de Compostela, each step is both penance and praise. Along this road, the pilgrimage becomes a tapestry of trials, of camaraderie and confrontation with self and the world. Superstitions intertwine with beliefs, every paternoster murmured to ward off malevolent spirits, every saint invoked for protection against maladies unknown and fears unnamed. These superstitions, though viewed skeptically in later centuries, form a magical realism that breathes the medieval soul, a soul as much at ease praying by candlelight as fearing shadows cast by the moon. The dance between belief and science also unfolds, a kaleidoscope where astrology stands beside theology. Celestial bodies become watches in the firmament. Charts predict not just weather but futures, impacting decisions at every societal level. It's a delicate balance of heavenly influence, perceived both as destiny's design and merely mankind's folly to ponder. As the day ends, the shadows lengthen on a medieval life without the comfort of electric light. Religion and faith become your nightly candle. The prayers you whisper echo through chambers of time, infusing your mind's eye with history's veneration, gestures of gratitude and contemplative heartbeats. As sleep eases its enveloping embrace over you, find solace in a productivity reborn from shared tradition, a world harmonized not by diversions of chaos, but by aspirations of unity, progress, and shared spiritual texture. Feel the gentle hand steering a course through time. Carry these peaceful ruminations into your dreams, where echoes of ancient prayers still hold meaning, sounding divine resonance within the corridors of a conscious slumber. As you traverse further into the heart of medieval life, you find yourself yearning for the simple joys that offer respite from labour's relentless grasp. Adjust your gaze to espy the array of medieval entertainments, delightful diversions that hint at both humour and oddity. Prepare yourself to be transported into this vibrant realm, where recreation colours the canvas of existence, providing laughter amidst trials. Imagine, if you will, a village square brimming with the commotion of a fair. Each sound tells a story: the jangle of a jester's motley foolery, the jaunty tunes of a rustic fiddle, and the merry clatter of wooden clogs dancing upon cobblestones. Amidst these sounds, it's easy to shake off the burdens of a laborious life. Medieval revelries often coincide with feast days and religious festivals. Here, the promise of indulgence awaits you, tables laden with rare spreads for feasting and an escape into merriment. Societal roles fade into the background as dancing erupts. The carolling in rounds keeps tempo with clapping hands and stomping feet. Historical records celebrate these moments not only for hedonistic extravagance, but also as a membrane where community bonds are tightened. In such gatherings, the minstrels and bards rise to prominence, weaving their tales with charisma. Their songs recount stories of heroism, tales of love and loss, spun into lyrical, bardic compositions, delivered to audiences eager for escapism. You may find yourself rapt with attention, carried on lyrical journeys through battlefield glories, enchanted kingdoms, and revered legends living in balladry. The lively hume of the fair distracts you, with booths and competitions. Here, you might try your luck at archery contests, where your skill with a bow earns widespread approval, or engaging in seesaw competitions, where balance and playful nudges test camaraderie. While these recreational escapes burst with joy, some entertainments do chaff against modern sensibilities. Think of bear baiting or jousting tournaments, staged with bands of knights locked in dramatic jousts of endurance and skill. These events serve as dramatic showcases of courage and strength, drawing crowds with their potential for both spectacle and spectacle-born peril. Historians debate whether such bloody delights were merely a reflection of harrowing times or a vivid representation of the human love for adrenaline-laced competition. The market square reveals its share of amusements with jugglers, puppeteers, and even fortune-tellers, predicting futures with shadowy hints and mysterious gestures. Children tumble with glee over stilts and barrels, their laughter a thread weaving through an ever-churning tapestry of life. These amusements, unfolding in familiar settings, reveal that the need to entertain both heart and mind transcends millennia. The allure of storytelling, odd spectacles, and jubilant gatherings lives on in the modern playground of streaming platforms, music concerts, and spectator sports. As such, our ancestors found solace in the same things that comfort us today: creativity, community ties, and shared experiences. As twilight blankets the fair with its soft hues, and the sonorous echoes of revelry yield to nightfall's gentle embrace, reflect upon the peace of mind born from joyful respite. This world of wondrous diversion gifts the explorer a sanctuary, where the pressures of harsh realities forget themselves too while standing under the moon. Tonight, as you fall into sleep's embrace, imagine yourself amidst this medieval revelry, dancing with laughter across shared dreams and stories, entranced, enchanted, and free. Morning light filters through the medieval world, casting shadows over your dwelling. It's time to step into the colourful and sometimes itchy realm of medieval fashion, where clothing choices reflect not just style but also status, practicality, and the pressures of society's expectations. Ready yourself to don the attire of the period, embracing both its elaborate fineries and its functional frills. Consider your basic ensemble, where layers abound, and it's easy to forget that fashion serves a dual purpose: utility and symbolism. As a peasant, your garb mirrors nature's palette, favouring earth tones like russet and green in rough-spun wool. Measurements might be yards away from precise tailoring, but these hardy materials endure both time and toil. However, don't envy the noble too much. Their fashionable silk and damasks are often just as uncomfortable despite their opulence. Should you find yourself among the nobility, your wardrobe undergoes a vibrant transformation. Rich dyes and luxurious fabrics like brocade announce your status better than any modern name tag or business card could. Velvet, samite, and fur trim transform clothing into an extension of prestige and wealth, a parade of status for feasts and gatherings, a spectacle unto themselves. Each garment piece carries its own narrative. The tunic, that bastion of wardrobe essentials, embraces simplicity. And there, upon your legs, cling hose, occasionally two separate matter-hemmed garments laced boldly like colourful plumage. The noble's fashion sense leans towards the extravagant, where sleeves might rival lengths of an artist's imagination, and sumptuary laws arise, limiting and defining tailoring to those whose rank deserved it. Ladies juggle both elegance and practicality. Dresses flow with layer upon layer of intricate stitching, and a headdress becomes more than an accessory, it's an architectural marvel in its own right. The hanin, an audacious cone of fabric perched upon one's head, reaches skyward, serving as a form of expression competing with modern runway eccentricities. Footwear poses its unique challenges. Among peasants, simple leather boots suffice. Designed with practicality and seasonal resilience in mind, they track through mud and cobblestones with equal dignity. Nobility's pointy shoes extend toward both aesthetic ambition and impracticality, leading to the occasional undignified stumble or entangled moment. Crossing gender boundaries, sumptuary laws dictate strict codes on who wears what, with lacy sleeves bristling if flaunted against rank-defined boundaries. Among medieval society, appearances weigh heavily, but despite antiquated constraints, echoes of individuality persist. As fashion establishes avenues of self-expression, it occasionally crisscrosses the intriguing frontier between necessity and novelty. The infamous codpiece, initially a simple design to preserve modesty, transforms over the centuries into a symbol of masculinity's exuberance, its development a curious corner where necessity courts flamboyance. Historians still argue over to what extent such voluminous forms demonstrate hierarchy or hold power within themselves. Each swath of cloth and every stitch drawn through fabric becomes an element of daily conduct and interaction between judgment and presence within surroundings. The outline of medieval life communicates clearly through clothing, forever stamped with the stories of preferences interwoven throughout cultural evolution, even when poring over artistic depictions painstakingly captured by medieval tapestries. As you remove your medieval attire in favour for modern comforts, reflect on the ways in which fashion still dances back and forth across centuries. How the need for warmth and expression evolve in tapestry, yet endure. Let your spirit glide into slumber, adorned by the imagination's fanciful cloak, a world coloured simply by the dreams you dare to wear. As another medieval dawn breaks, illuminating the tapestry of daily life, we shift our focus to the realm of artistic expressions. A world both illuminating and shadowed, where the creative spirit finds solace amidst stone and wood. Ready your senses to explore the vibrant pulse of medieval art and the audacious artists who dared to colour the margins of history with their brushstrokes, chisels, and melodic echo. Imagine yourself within a bustling workshop or studio where artisans, sculptors, and painters lend their hands to the creation of beauty. Sturdy tables stand cluttered with the tools of their craft, palettes of vivid colours ground painstakingly by hand, the sharp edge of chisels glinting in the early light. Busy hands and imaginative minds intertwine to sculpt the sacred and the sublime. Medieval art finds much of its expression in religious devotion. Churches and cathedrals across the medieval landscapes become receptacles of divine imagery, with stained glass windows filtering sunlight into a kaleidoscope of faith. Imagine working for years on a single grand window, each segment painstakingly crafted to tell biblical tales through hues and shadows. When complete, the masterpiece stands as testimony to grace, a silent sermon in colour, illuminating the soul. Enter the domain of illuminated manuscripts, a marvel to ponder. Painstakingly inscribed within monastic scriptoria, these manuscripts brim with intricate detail. Gold leaf glitters in the sunlight as illustrations burst forth around the text, each page a masterpiece, crafted art-wisely as much for preserving eternal words as for communicating majestically of divine truths. The dedication needed rivals anything dreamt by modern designers, balancing meticulous craftsmanship with narratives that echo today. Artists frequently embellish their works with whimsical flourishes, latent imagery, and curious marginalia that scholars still muse over today. Rabbits jousting on snailback or dragons nestled amidst foliage inspire themes that break formality's boundary, a reminder of an artist's wit playing through the margins. In sculpture, stone transforms from raw material to divine being. Imagine standing before a monumental cathedral facade, where saints and angels seem ready to leap from their alcoves. Each delicate fold of their robe, each expression etched in stone, speaks of an artist's passion, harnessed for centuries, fostering spiritual visual feast. Music, too, is woven into this artistic tapestry, and medieval life brims with sound. Minstrels carry songs through village gatherings, their voices extending poetic tales laced with melody, drifting gently on the wind. In sacred spaces, Gregorian chants rise, haunting and harmonious, echoing through vaulted ceilings, a celestial ladder for the soul. Amidst these grand tapestries wander the nameless artists, sometimes patronized, sometimes forgotten. In an era where anonymity shadows greatness, creative passion consumes many lives. Historians debate the impact of individual artists, arguing whether one man's name held sway over craftsmanship, yet together they thread layers into the vivid fabric of artistic history. Social and spiritual messages entwine as artists create not just for aesthetics, but to shape conscious perception, their brilliance rippling beyond immediate milestones into our modern art narrative. Each brushstroke, chisel mark, and hymn note sings a truth, preserving humanity's soulful exploration through time and history. As modern tools and talents command your attention, appreciate these ancient artists' urging. Imagine closing your eyes to meandering dreams, through painted hallways and stone-carved arcades, tethered by souls unforgotten through memory. Acknowledge the whispers of inspiration woven through memories of the past, washing over your imagination like cascading waves. After all, creativity dances through generational echoes, leading us ever onward and beyond, into realms embraced every single night. As morning mist swathes the medieval landscape, we embark upon the perilous yet alluring world of medieval travel. A venture marking adventure as its reward and danger as its constant companion. Prepare to traverse the roads of yore, where the journey challenges both spirit and endurance, promising glimpses of distant lands mixed with the trials of the unpredictable. Imagine saddling your horse or loading your cart, tying down provisions with leather straps and tightening a well-worn cloak against the morning chill. Embarking on any journey in medieval times means stepping into a realm of uncertainty, with pathways and routes more akin to stubborn trails beaten into submission over years of travel. The reasons for such journeys vary: merchants haggling over silk and spices, pilgrims journeying towards sacred destinations, envoys sent forth by lords to maintain alliances or resolve disputes. Whatever your cause, the road ahead offers little in way of comforts, but much in the way of tales born from experience. While today's traveller might rely on carefully mapped roads or GPS-friendly routes, your medieval equivalent would clutch tightly a mappa mundi, a means of navigation both artistic and rudimentary, mapping history's lifeblood sketched through iconography and conjecture rather than precise cartographic perfection. Historians still ponder the effectiveness of these maps, balancing myth, magic, and measure each, adventure taking merely educated guesses for direction. With each mile you travel, the scenery presents itself as a patchwork of budding hamlets, dense forests, rolling hills, and glistening rivers winding their way through various homesteads. The elements welcome you with open arms and little hesitation, as storms may coax nature's unpredictable wrath without warning, completely altering your precarious course. Secure passage often hinges upon the hospitality of monasteries and inns, hearths extending warmth and safety to weary souls. However, beware the darker motives ready to exploit Noivay wanderers. Highwaymen, those nefarious brigands haunting shadowed nooks, possess agility in weapons and recklessness in craft. Their lurking pounds fill travellers' hearts with a rhythm tinged in anxiety. Anxiety washed away only by prayers, talismans, and trusted steel. Journeys don't just traverse roads, they connect cultural bridges. You witness humanity's vibrancy through market squares vibing with culturally distinct goods displayed by traders extolling the virtues of fabric, grain, or law. Foreign tongues engage in a linguistic ballet, where a coin's worth requires a dance of negotiation across complex currencies and dialect. To cope with distance, camaraderie shapes life on the road. Travellers band together, weaving networks of alliance and cooperation amid transient routines formed by weary campsites and shared provisions. They form relationships bound more by destination than origin, gathering stories of travellers to carry forth beyond the periphery of medieval life. These alliances ensure survival and, occasionally, sought solace amid uncertainty. The journey ends not merely with reaching the destination, but rather within the moment itself, where history laments spontaneous curiosity, unfurling courage. Many conclude their adventures both content and profoundly altered, their hearts bearing imprints of uncharted domains that render steadfast memories beyond the tangible. Reflect on the simplicity and uncertainty of a medieval voyage, showcasing freedom's tapestry woven from patches of surprise, brimming surface deep with dreamers and ordinary travellers. As you tuck into the soothing blanket of nighttime, let the medley of tales from this era entwine, carrying you across the bridge to imagination's landscape, unto your own peaceful wandering embrace. Appreciate finding your way through history's map that mirrors exploration, undisguised by time, where each step serves as testament to the timeless essence of the human spirit seeking vision. As dawn unfurls its golden ribbon across the medieval landscape, turn your attentions to the bustling marketplaces and trade routes that acted as the economic heartbeat of the times. Picture clusters of timber frame stands festooned with the vibrant hues of merchant wares, a symphony of sights, sounds, and even smells, where bartering is both art and survival. Welcome to the medieval marketplace, a paradoxical haven of chaos and order, where commerce binds communities in a narrative of necessity and whimsy. You step into the lively scene of a thriving market square, where vendors entice with an enchanting tapestry of goods. From the irresistible aroma of freshly baked bread to the fragrant infusion of exotic spices from distant shores, your senses are immediately awakened. It's the medieval version of a shopping mall, complete with stalls marked by merchant tokens swinging gently in the breeze. Herein lies an integral facet of medieval life, connecting people not just physically through trade, but also culturally through exchange. Merchants stand as proverbial architects of prosperity, each demonstrating persuasion and charm as they peddle goods ranging from humble produce to luxurious fabrics woven with exotic mystery. Their voices mingle in a crescendo, a cacophony that offers a vivid reminder that currency was as likely to be complicated barter as it was hammered coin. The concept of money in various forms intrigues scholars today, who argue over the transition from barter to coinage and its impact on trading practices. Brazen voices challenge you to question the value of wool against grain, or the measured worth of intricately blown glass against simple leather. Consider also the guilds, these vibrant nexus points, where artisans operate under both protection and scrutiny. Guilds formulate codes for production control and quality assurance within medieval society. These powerful collectives ensure continuity of structure and organizational echo beyond sporadic centuries in today's trade unions and professional organizations. Wander amidst rich displays of foreign imports arriving from busy trade routes, glittering silks graced by moth-like fingers, glistening beads of amber and ivory, and enigmatic spices from far-flung lands promising culinary revolution. Marvel at their allure, while realizing that the routes taken to procure such treasures are fraught with vibrant storytelling, risk-laden reclamation journeys that sequence along the Silk Road or over the wind-swept swells of the Hanseatic League's maritime corridors. Even amidst the tantalizing array of luxury, life's simpler pleasures dot the stalls. Skillful crafters of ordinary wares, baskets, pottery, homespun garments, extend offerings for daily life, forging meaningful interactions through minimalist exchange. Yet, shadows persist in this vibrant scene. Tax collectors and tollmen weave into the narrative, their spirits less welcome than the cheery merchant with whom you bargain. Officials eye the populace like hawks, collecting sales taxes and market dues, an administrative propriety ensuring some semblance of commerce organization over uncharted chaos. As evening stretches its fingers across market ambitions, you absorb wider themes unfolding within its center, the way humanity craves connection through stories told across seller-buyer chasms, a mutualistic relationship shaping tradition and contemporary commerce. This historic ritual of trade, whether tenacious bartering or tactile coinage, reveals a prevalence of timeless economic rhythms, a symphony played in visage from an investor's boardroom demanded by the spirited dance of medieval bazaars. For just as those before you once flourished amidst cobbled thoroughfares, so do modern paths weave intricate threads of trade. Economic harmonies continue to reverberate across geography and generations. As sleep calls you nearer to its arms, let the rhythm of markets make a drumming rest beneath layers gently cradling tonight's gliding slumber. Remember the ancient call beckoning both far and near, journeyers towards engaging in shared prosperity. Let this trade-bound reverie lushly usher forth into dreams, forever exploring lands of mercantile magic, a slumber-led journey toward fulfilling dreams of worth and commerce, twined together again, eternally paused between barter and bounty. As the early morning dew glosses the fields, it is time to turn the soil of medieval agriculture, a cornerstone of life that feeds bodies and spirits alike while demanding relentless toil and innovation. Ready yourself to walk in the footsteps of those who wrested sustenance from the earth with unyielding dedication and a touch of creativity. Your day begins with the crowing of a rooster, a timeless clarion call cutting through the village dawn, summoning farmers from their humble abodes. In this landscape, agriculture is both livelihood and lifeblood. It's no wonder that medieval society honored the farmer, whose fortunes influenced the rise and fall of everything from local economies to royal chests. The fields stretch out before you, a pictorial representation of labor, where the rhythm of a hoe piercing soil sings the song of Earth's promise. It's a harmony that echoes the changing seasons, as each plays out with its own symphony. Nature herself orchestrates life's concert springs. Planting leads to summer's growth, which then yields autumn's harvest before winter's restive slumber. Such is the cycle of agriculture's embrace. The crops are more than mere rows of greenery. Within these earthen furrows lie medieval staples: wheat, barley, rye and oats, often neighbours planted side by side with legumes to refresh nutrients in the soil, a technique known as crop rotation. This technique, among others, sparks enduring curiosity among historians, who debate whether it reflects medieval ingenuity or necessitated pragmatism. Regardless, fields bloomed and thus fed the populace. Alongside grains thrived humble vegetables: cabbage, leeks, onions, garlic, real food for the heartiest stews. Orchards abound with apples and pears, promising the sweet sustenance of both fruit and cider, providing brief respites from ale's daily presence. Livestock consolidate the agricultural endeavour. Cows, sheep, pigs and chickens complement diets and materials, providing milk, meat, wool and eggs to fortify any peasant's table. The scene is colourful, yet the work itself is backbreaking. Physical prowess drives ploughs guided by oxen. Manually wielded tools harness the soil's power into growth. Harvests are a spectacle, a community engagement filled with toil seasoned with camaraderie. It's not merely a singular task of reaping or threshing, but rather a collective orchestration, as vibrant as the colours of autumn itself. Rural life is constantly overseen by manor lords, whose authority frames the agricultural stage. Payments to these lords, known as tithes, set the tone for obligations that cut deep and often. Such duties contour the peasant's existence, a weave of long hours and determined dedication, ensuring both individual survival and communal prosperity. Agricultural fairs occasionally break the routine monotony of farm life, affording moments of gathering amid stalls adorned with livestock and produce. These fairs are blends of trade and festivity, a panoply of life that refreshes the spirit and strengthens community bonds, much like harvest festivals we adore today. Within these ancient activities lies the seedbed of our modern agricultural landscape. Tools and techniques, though ancient, lay the groundwork for inventions and philosophies celebrated today. Agricultural advancements and traditions coursing through centuries after reveal how past practices grew into today's world, demonstrating how human tenacity cultivates essential progress. As the sun dips below the horizon, casting long shadows over furrowed fields, appreciate the farmer's hard-won gains gathered through tenacity, innovation and resilience. This cycle of cultivation endures beyond time's fence posts, a legacy spanning an inheritance tangible within the produce gracing our tables today. As you close your eyes tonight, let the rhythm of harvest guide your dreams, a journey resonating through furrowed fields into dimensional landscapes promising solace. Embrace tradition's call to nurture as your spirit sows dreams in sleep's fertile embrace. Awaken once more to the soft chorus of medieval life, where childhood unfolds in a world that sees young lives shaped by the contours of their social strata and the rigours of daily existence. Ready yourself to explore the experiences that frame medieval youth, a series of adventures both sweet and sombre, marked with innocence and responsibility. From the moment a child enters this world, they are cast into a distinct role within the family's schema. For noble children, the early years glitter with promise. Picture young ones garbed in miniature versions of adult finery, their days filled with tutelage in both etiquette and academics. Under the tutelage of a governess or tutor, they learn languages, arithmetic, and, if they lean toward knighthood, the art of combat with wooden swords in mock battles that pattern chivalric legend. As they grow, the threads of obligation tighten, weaving them into societal expectations. For future knights, it means becoming a page, learning the arts of war and diplomacy amid the clamour of a nobleman's household. For others, betrothals might be arranged, aligning families through lineage as ties are sealed long before the child comprehends the alliance is forged. Historians still argue over the emotional strain imposed by such arrangements, questioning whether they burdened young spirits with undue responsibility or provided clear paths within an often unstable world. What remains open is the enduring narrative and interlace of personal stories both sweet and complex. Meanwhile, for children of humble birth, life presents its own unique trials. They follow parents into fields at a young age, learning the cadence of toil alongside the seasons. Tales are recounted not by tutors but beside the fire. The lore passed generationally, a verbal tapestry spanning years. Education often feels more pragmatic, residing in hands-on lessons rather than pages of books. Boys learn the crafts of their fathers, while girls assist mothers in spinning, weaving and managing affairs of the household. Though divisions in their experiences arise, both boys and girls embrace responsibility earlier than today's youths know. Play, however, blossoms across all levels of society. Childhood joie de vivre transcends the bounds of time. Games echo with laughter as every corner turns into a playground. Picture little ones in the village square playing games of tag, rolling hoops and hurling keepsakes that dance in the breeze. Dolls crafted of straw or wood fill idle hours with imaginative tales just waiting to be told. Later years usher in competitive sports, the joust and tilt among noble offspring, the tug-of-war and wrestling matches for the village youths. The church, too, impacts childhood, since most enter baptism soon after birth and spend formative years under watchful eyes of monks or priests. Life's rhythm intertwines with religious rites, as feast days bring respite from labours, celebrated with fervour and joy unmatched. Throughout these formative experiences, the thread of family and community binds medieval childhoods, a tapestry of celebrations, trials, and aspirations among all. Through every challenge and joy, young ones navigate a mixture of play, tasks, and heartfelt learning. This spectrum of experiences echoes across centuries, leaving behind both legacy and a gentle reminder that the innocence of childhood thrives timelessly, bridging history with whispers of resilience and inspiration. As you nestle into the sanctity of evening slumber, allow the dance of medieval youth to linger in your dreams, a chimerical interplay of awe and growth, painting youthful narratives across shadows as you wander between realms of wakefulness and repose. As the early light of the medieval day dapples through the trees, casting a delicate glow across the landscape, we delve into the world of monarchy and governance, a world where power, politics and intrigue weave together as tightly as the royal tapestries hanging in vast palace corridors. In this realm, authority resides not just in the majesty of the crown, but within the complex system of governance that underpins every facet of medieval life. At the centre of this universe stands the monarch, a figurehead radiating authority and stability. To imagine the life of a medieval king or queen is to immerse oneself in a constant interplay of ceremony and strategy. Adorned in opulent robes with crowns shimmering under torchlight, these rulers embody both divine right and the earthly burdens of leadership. Beneath the grandeur, the reality requires constant vigilance and political acumen. A monarch's word, while law, is often tempered by the need for diplomacy and the shifting loyalties of powerful vassals. Royal marriages, strategic alliances, and treaties are not just typical arrangements, but cornerstone decisions influencing realms. Some historians debate whether these alliances lead to unity or further divide, weaving a narrative as complex as medieval heraldry. Within castle walls, an intricate governance structure exists, where the day-to-day operations are administered by household officials and advisors, chancellors, marshals, and stewards working tirelessly. The signing of charters and edicts takes place within council chambers, where scrolls spill archives that echo through centuries. Yet, despite authority's sharp complexity, it is this machinery of governance that, paradoxically, entrenches a realm's stability. The nobility plays its role, wrapped in fealty and vassalage. In exchange for lands or the promise of favour, noble vassals owe allegiance and military service, their resolve tested in the king's campaigns or the safeguarding of territorial integrity. Castles, many with moats and crenellations, serve as fortified lines of defence for nobles and soldiers alike. The Great Keep rises amidst the bastion, a steadfast guardian steeped in strategic significance. The intricate power dynamics can blur loyalty. Courtly intrigues, those whispered shadows of feast halls, accompany the medieval political life. Places of grandeur may house stories of betrayal, simmering beneath friendships and dynastic ambitions, entwined like dragons, confronting sainted icons. Beyond the storied halls and guarded fortifications, royally appointed sheriffs and bailiffs traverse the land, enforcing the crown's will, ensuring that taxes reach royal coffers and justice finds its mark. The rhythm of governance, beat to life by countless officials, fosters an accuracy reminiscent of an artisan's clockwork, the kingdom thriving where structure and oversight sway time. Royal power occasionally encounters a challenge from its vassals or even through revolt from the commons, a stark reminder of sovereignty's dual tether to responsibility and accountability. Power is tested, with uprisings translating civic unrest to questioned authority, tales of kings claiming divine right, juxtaposing their subjects' earthly cries. The church, too, enters the circle of influence, much like a partner bound in holy alliance. Bishop and cardinal advisories emphasize spirituality while navigating political complexities across sacred and temporal borders. Tithes and land grants remind us of the shared ideals, or conflicts, steering course. Relinquish any modern assumptions that kings relish leisure freely within these worlds. They, too, in their essential nature, are bound to roots of consequence, nudged by history's currents, consistently drafting explorers unforeseen. When evening cloaks the kingdom, and monarch bids good night to subjects beneath these celestial apparitions, let your imagination linger in these royal realms. Repose with graceful ease, knowing the kingdoms and their intricate arcs time alike unto twilight. From candle-lit councils to hushed corridors, trace the history of monarchy, a realm delicate, enduring, known because history lends it direction, lovingly kept within dreams of sovereignty, sleeping peacefully upon truth's crown. A new medieval dawn breaks, and with it comes the opportunity to unravel the mysteries of scientific understanding during this intricate era. While often shrouded in enigmatic dogma and theology, the period is also one of burgeoning curiosity, a time when the quest for knowledge is fraught with wonder and perpetual questioning. Let us explore the complex tapestry of medieval science, where truth exists at the intersection of observation, speculation, and tradition. Within the cloistered halls of monasteries and the learned atmospheres of universities, medieval scholars embark on an intellectual pilgrimage alongside the classic texts of Socrates, Aristotle, and Ptolemy. Picture laboratories and libraries filled with scrolls and manuscripts, tones that blend natural philosophy with theology, as inquisitive minds strive to comprehend the cosmos and their place within it. In these corridors, the birth of ideas takes shape under the flickering candlelight, each scientific notion reviewed through lenses of philosophy and faith. Scholars balance theory with experimentation, incapable of separating divine influence from earthly phenomena. Natural phenomena are analyzed through religious paradigms, the skies charted as celestial manifestations reflecting divine will. Astronomy, in particular, flourishes, though sometimes inaccurately, flourishing the keystone of medieval cosmology. Observations mingled with astrology perceive heavenly bodies not just as stellar wonders, but as harbingers of fate, compelling interpretations that historians still debate for their scientific versus mystical significance. Alchemy, a mysterious mix of experimentation, mysticism, and proto-chemistry, captures the medieval imagination. Hidden within secretive alchemists' workshops, the search for the philosopher's stone, or the elixir of life, exists as both a scientific endeavor and a spiritual quest, its pursuit fraught with legends. Here, elements transform, and base metals whisper their metamorphic potential into dreams of gold, a fusion that juxtaposes material GAN with the divine perfection of patterns. Medicine persists in a delicate dance with early scientific practices and the philosophical humor. Pluralist ideas entwine healing arts, wielding herbal remedies alongside spiritual chants, a communion intermingling bark-based tinctures with trustiest prayers. With limited understanding of human anatomy, medieval physicians walk the fine line between time-tested traditions and burgeoning empirical discoveries, each patient a testament to medicine's evolving narrative. Mechanical innovations emerge from the same font of ingenuity, a subtle symphony of water wheels, astrolabes, and catapults springing forth into practical application. Ingenious minds hover over sacred geometries and architectural innovations that bend stone into towering cathedrals, cultivating God's reach and humanity's reach into shared miracles. Throughout, the Church remains entwined as both curator and challenger, a keeper safeguarding ancient wisdom and an institution shaping ideological boundaries. Though inquisitive minds draw simultaneously from the biblical and the empirical, they occasionally clash against ecclesiastical steadfastness. Yet alongside the contradiction stands a shared quest for understanding, an intellectual limerick joining the divine with the scientific within the medieval world's narrative. As twilight creeps upon the day's scholarly musings, the artistry of medieval science yields a tapestry still whispered about today. We observe echoes of medieval theories unfurl into contemporary thoughts, trailing patterns of inquiry that mark human curiosity's unbroken spirit. The perseverance in puzzlements and aspirations fabricates today's modern seedbeds of understanding. Return to your evening solace, wandering alongside medieval scholars in dreams passed across parchment and quill, a journey beyond starry nights where curiosity dances ever forward. Embrace the cradle of knowledge born in perseverance and shadowed tales at the interstices between philosophy and nature. As dreamtime cradles your mind in its gentle embrace, surrender yourself to a cosmic voyage navigating the universe. This shared pursuit, bordered neither by time nor domain, furthers humanity's unraveling whisper of the universe, a dreamscape revealing celestial truths through cyclical voyages of discovery. As another medieval day unfurls its light, we journey toward the legacies bequeathed from the Middle Ages, an era whose influence persists with gentle ripples across the waters of time, touching various aspects of our contemporary lives. Prepare to explore the enduring heritage of the Middle Ages, where history's echoes continue to whisper soft reminders of bygone inspirations. Father Time weaves an intricate narrative, connecting modern societies to their medieval roots in fascinating ways. Consider the cities themselves. Beneath their current cosmopolitan guise, many European towns still clung to the skeletons of medieval walls and cobblestone streets that breathe history beneath every modern footstep. Medieval town planning, merging fortifications with rustic charm, inspires the urban development ethos that values heritage and story-hilled narratives over simplistic sprawl. Consider also the architectural marvels left by medieval hands. Cathedrals standing tall against the horizon remain as splendid testaments to our ancestors' craftsmanship, symbols of both spiritual devotion and architectural ingenuity. The pointed arches, sprawling rose windows, and flying buttresses derived from Gothic innovations continue to inspire architects around the globe, demonstrating how beauty arising from functionality remains timelessly valuable. Medieval legal systems, rooted in earlier traditions of Roman law and customary practices, provided scaffolding for many of today's legal codes. Concepts such as trial by peers and the presumption of innocence, which gained traction during this era, have etched themselves into the justice systems observed worldwide. Our educational institutions, too, can trace their origins back to this vibrant time. Universities, first emerging in medieval cities like Bologna and Paris, established the foundations for the modern academic system. Central tenets of scholasticism, critical thought, and dialectic reasoning lie embedded within the heart of modern universities, echoing the age-old thirst for knowledge in today's scholars. Linguistically, the medieval period gifted us literary treasures beyond measure. Works like the Canterbury Tales or La Divina Commedia extend narrative grace across centuries, while the evolution of vernacular languages that budded within medieval society eventually flourished into the diverse linguistic spectrum that colours today's communication tapestry. Everyday life owes much to the agricultural advancements born of medieval innovation: three-field crop rotations, ploughs shaped to till the soil efficiently, and hard-learned animal husbandry practices. Even our modern forms of government display hues of medieval heritage. Parliaments and assemblies find parallels in the feudal councils where consent and counsel intertwined with governance. Yet the Middle Ages extend their reach beyond tangible legacies, pervading cultural mindsets and societal structures, reawakening imaginations with fables of knights, legendary quests, and vistas of honor. From Renaissance to modernity, these legendary figures resonate within our cultural consciousness, serving as allegories for persistence and resilience. Historical curiosity aids our souls, an adventure requiring acknowledgement of the past. Exploring the remnants of medieval life invites a rich, contemplative journey, a gentle nod toward humanity's infinite potential, alive in harmony and reminiscence. As your mind graciously settles under starlit reverie, allow medieval legacies to thread dreams gilded with ashen echoes and reverent delights. Within these woven strands of time, embellished anew, lies the courage to embrace elegance with awe, the beauty of our shared humanity sailing into the annals of a future lovingly shaped forevermore. As the medieval horizon concludes its role and bids farewell to another day, we arrive at the closing moments of our immersive journey through time. Allow the lingering warmth of these stories to wrap around you, gently urging you into reflection. Visualize the epochs past and experiences stored, a rich tapestry of the Middle Ages, interwoven with continuity and change. In this realm where history unfurled like a grand tapestry, heroes danced across war-weary fields, and cloistered scholars unlocked mysteries within ancient tome-lined walls. Artists painted worlds within petals of colour, as tradesmen etched new paths across bustling markets and vibrant trade routes. Each thread of their existence, though worn by time, bears significance in the intricate weave of human experience. A reminder that every era is but a chapter in the ongoing saga of humanity. As you ponder, let the essence of evolution whisper through memory's door, a tapestry spun from lessons marked by trial and triumph, perseverance and discovery. The world, imperfect yet wondrous, unfolded in dialogue between reverence and resilience, where faith mingled with inquiry. The medieval landscape, far from monolithic, demonstrated intricate layers, while shadows often obscured light. A persistent luminosity glowed brightly within, casting radiance over the darkened corners of misunderstanding. This contrast paints narratives rich in texture, encouraging our own participation and enduring admiration. Now, as you settle your mind, invoke the lessons absorbed from these whispered tales, a kaleidoscope of exchanges swirling with meaning. Let the stories offer gentle assurance and embrace the medieval spirit, where there's comfort in knowing how far we've journeyed and how elements of the past enrich current understanding. The soft echoes of medieval lore, as twilight embraces creation's dance, cradle you into slumber, a mesmerizing interaction between dream and reality that invites you to rest with hope renewed. Your heart, reassured by narratives spun from time immemorial, knows the synergy between history and future forms only within minds that embrace both arms of wisdom. Tonight, as your dreams take flight, explore lands unseen but deeply felt, lulled by the sounds of an ancient world where every whispered prayer, every brushstroke and every echoing stride across cobblestones reminds us of the richness we inherit. Feel the warmth of timeless stories wrapped around the quietude, embracing you as sleep's gentle curtain descends. May you journey onward into the serenity of night's embrace, where soothing dreams hold the promise of tomorrow's dawn. Let history's embrace guide you toward pathways birthed from exploring the corridors of time, a ceiling peppered with stories and stars, promising comfort. Sweet dreams await.